end the night. I'm going to get my final thoughts from you for the evening. Start with you, Stu. What are your final thoughts for everybody for this evening?
Man, so I will say to you, I advise you, you got a little sadness, you're nursing a little hurt, go to a Democratic Party meeting. Okay? I was at my local Atlanta County Democratic Party meeting in the Teamsters Hall, which was great energy. And the vibe there, it was bumping. It was absolutely bumping. These people really care. They support the union in a heavy duty, thick way. Man, this is where it's at.
And the way you were talking about it, I'm glad you told me because I really wanted to, get an idea what that energy was like. All right. So, Russ, what are your final thoughts for this evening?
I think there's always hope. We're still a democracy. And, when I'm out there giving people rides right now, I am willing to talk about politics. I don't bring it up if it doesn't look like they're going to be receptive. But if I see it looks like somebody who could be on our side, I definitely encourage them to vote. And I do it online all the time. I think we all do. And we do this. We're doing our part, man. We're part of the democracy. Right. We're the front line of protecting the people from the fascists, and it's all we can do is, put ourselves out there, speak up, and we all are willing to do that or we wouldn't be on here together.
Yeah, you're right about that. Make sure you don't bring it up, man. Look, I was in last week. I never bring it up, but if they bring it up and they say something in favor of the orange guy, I say, sir, kindly let's change the topic. But this one woman asked me last week, she said, what do you think of that guy? I said, I can't stand the motherfucker. And she said, me either. And that's why our conversation took off. So that's just a little bit of advice on you that, man. I can dig it with you on that. You want to have conversation with people. But once again, that's your job, brother. You don't need to be talking about that with some of these people on the job unless they bring it up. And if they're for that orange guy, I tell them to change the subject. I don't agree with you. That's the way I handle it. But I feel you on all of that, my man. Howard, what about you, brother?
I had something else. I'm going to leave you with something positive instead.
All right.
I've been watching on my Instagram feed and some other things online, these people who are coming over to watch the World Cup. And it just, I find it striking that they're having a ball. And these people, I'm watching all these people from different countries. I saw these people from Scotland, at this beer garden having a ball. I saw, just all kinds of people. It's too many people to say. But what struck me was that these people are having more fun in this country than I do. Yeah. They're enjoying stuff about our culture that, not that I take it for granted. Some of them they have taken for granted. I mean, I got a kick out of them how much they like ranch dressing. I thought that was really funny too. But they really are getting the joy out of this. This whole last 10 years has messed up my perception of the United States of America and my time here. Now I have a historic perspective that I think is pretty clear, but that aside, there are a lot of things in this country that you can really enjoy and embrace. If it weren't for some of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So everybody just take some time out and listen. If it's a funnel cake, if it's going out and seeing some boats, or if it's going to a baseball game or something, just go out and enjoy something that you can do that we can still do in this country together and enjoy ourselves. And it'll give us, I think in doing that, it'll give us more of a reason to fight to keep what it is that we enjoy about being here and being Americans together, instead of the situation we're in now. Because I do find myself a lot of times just walking around freaking pissed, and it's not good. It's not good. It's not healthy. So, that's all. So I thank all of you folks who came from around the world to remind me of this place is a fun place to be at times. That's
Yeah. And what you're saying, man, is absolutely correct. I've been seeing so many videos of people just having fun. The dude from Germany, when he was in Atlanta, the dude is just, went to a Waffle House. He's going to all these spots. These people are truly enjoying the country. Japan just lost to Brazil today after being up 1-0, but the way they show respect by cleaning up behind them. Even had Jameis Winston up there, like, man, I need to do better too. You know how there's been a lot of good stuff from that. And it really makes you want to take the time. One particular guy was talking about how people came over here and they're like, wow, this isn't the America we thought it was. And this brother's perception and his theory was that a lot of them see stuff on Fox News. And a lot of the stuff that they saw wasn't really what they saw when they got here. So a lot of people are enjoying. They're like, wow, this is great. It's kind of like been a reverse effect. The World Cup may make some people want to come back to Vegas, but it's been a good thing. But with that being said, I mean, you're right. There are a lot of good feelings. And I wish you would have went after me, Howard, because what I'm getting ready to bring up it's kind of associated with enjoying your time with people while you can. And when I found out today, like many of you did, that Chris Johnson, running back, Titans, was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, and he had the interview on Good Morning America with Michael Strahan. I tell you, man, I got real emotional because one thing is not curable. But now this man is trapped in a situation where, his kids, everything that he fought for, like I said, use his body to be able to provide for his family. And now this is happening. So when you look at all these people that are coming over here enjoying the country, and they're realizing, okay, hey, there's some good things over here. I think about Chris Johnson, and I think that, hey, he gave us some good feelings. I think we all need to be praying for him and his family right now because you never know when something like this can affect your family, affect your life. And after my daughter's graduation this past weekend, graduation party, being honored at church, it just makes me feel good about the time that I do get to spend with my kids. So, Chris Johnson, to you and your family, from me and the brothers here at Couch Chat, man, we wish you nothing but blessings and strength as you go through this time. And we pray that you can continue to enjoy life as much as you can while being there for your family as much as you can. Anyway, everybody, that's my man Howard. That's my man Stu up in New Jersey. And out in Arizona, that's my man Russ. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to check us out. Keep subscribing, keep sharing, and we'll see you next time. Couch out. Peace. This weekend, America celebrates its 250th birthday. A military officer says the president and the vice president should be impeached. Political parties are struggling to connect with voters. The Supreme Court debates who gets to be an American. Questions are being raised about presidential credibility. The world is coming to America. They're visiting America. And another former NFL star reminds us of the price athletes sometimes pay long after the games are over. So tonight, we're asking one question. What does patriotism actually look like? Welcome to Couch Chat. Hey, what's up? What's happening, everybody? What's going down? This is yours truly, Couch. And of course, I got my super duper co-host, Howard Rock, with me up in New Jersey, my man. Stu is in the house, and of course, out in Arizona, I got my man Russ. Hey, fellas, what's happening? What's going down? How you feeling, man?
I'm good.
Yeah. You know what? This week got really, really wild. Look, when I saw Air Force Major Jason Watson publicly stand up and gave a strong reason why the president and the vice president should face impeachment over what he believes, and many of us also believe, are unconstitutional acts. Now, what is so big about this and why it matters is that this is a military officer in uniform, active duty, doing this. He knows what this means. He knows the sacrifices. These military officers swear an oath to the Constitution, not to a president, but they also have certain things that they cannot do while they are serving. So Howard,
Yes, sir.
with this situation, if an officer genuinely believes the Constitution is being violated, does he have a duty to speak, or does he have a duty to just remain silent? Give me your thoughts, man.
Well, I don't know about a duty to remain silent. I, at first when I saw these things coming across my timeline, I saw the clip of his statements, and I applauded his statements. I agree with them 100%.
Yeah.
However, I've since then I've listened to, because I didn't serve, I don't, and so I'm not familiar with military codes of conduct and all of those things. Now I've been enlightened a little bit, and I see the wisdom behind not having men in uniform make public political statements. I don't think it was the wisest thing to do. But however, I will say this. This is what it reminded me of. And I am not a religious guy, although I've read the Bible several times. And this is what it reminded me of.
All right.
There's a story in Acts. There's a guy named Stephen. He was an early follower of Jesus. He was in front of the Sanhedrin, and he just was going off talking about how Jesus was all this, God incarnate, which is very blasphemous in the Jewish religion. And Stephen ultimately was stoned to death. For doing this. He was committed, but he paid the price for that. So I'm looking at that, and he's a saint, of course he was canonized. He's a saint, Right. I very much respect what this and agree with what this major had to say, but hopefully, and I would imagine he did this as he martyred himself. For this. And that's and what I thought was so shameful is that why did he articulated things very well that Donald Trump and the Trump administration have been doing that are illegal, unconstitutional. Right. There should be somebody from the opposition party, the Democrats, every day articulating that in public as clearly as he did, and that's not happening. And the fact that he felt that he needed to do that because nobody else was doing it is what's shameful. That's what I walk away with. I think whatever price he has to pay for what he did probably is appropriate because, I wouldn't want somebody, if somebody did something similar to, it's just it's not good. I don't think it's good precedent to set or common practice to let military personnel, especially officers, do that in person in that situation. If you're retired or you're out of that, that's fine. Or if you're just so frustrated you're willing to pay the price, bless you, good. But I do think that there needs to be some sort of price to be paid.
Do you think that his actions, the way he was speaking out, do you think that makes him a patriot?
Sure, absolutely.
Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Hashtag, and now let's get back to COUCHAT.
Now, Russ, what I want to ask you, man, have there ever been any other military leaders that have publicly challenged presidents like the way Major Watson did?
Yeah, there were a couple. The most famous is obviously George B. McClellan, who was the original general of the Civil War for the Union. He was a brilliant trainer and he was great for morale, but he was crap in battle. And he bloodied the nose of Lee, which was pretty rare until Grant. And he didn't advance after Antietam. So from that point on, it was contentious. In fact, Lincoln sent him a memo that said, "Do you ever intend to use this army you've trained so well?" That's literally the exact words of the memo. And he got removed in 1862 as commander of the Union Army. and he ran for president against Lincoln. So there was a little bit of animosity there, but he was beloved at first, and because he turned on Lincoln, Lincoln won the veteran vote overwhelmingly, and that's why he got reelected. And then we have Douglas MacArthur. In order to understand him, you have to know that FDR consistently called the Kingfish, Huey Long, the second most dangerous man in the world. He said it under his breath a bunch of times. And somebody in the press finally said, well, if Huey Long is the second most dangerous man in America, who's the most dangerous? And he steel-eyed looked at him and said, General Douglas MacArthur. Because any person who would so quickly march against his own people, the War Bonus Army, it represents an existential threat to democracy. And later on, he protested because he wanted to start a war with China, and Truman fired his ass. So his insubordination to the president cost him his job. And today we have a couple of great examples of standing up to Trump. One was General Milley. He waited until after he retired to call him out and said, we serve the Constitution, not a wannabe dictator. That was some powerful words for him, and he tried to go after him, but I don't think he had the ability to go after Milley. But this guy, he chose to actually. The reason he got arrested was because the representative that was with him, and I don't remember who that was, left. Right. And you can't protest on the Capitol steps without a sitting member of Congress there with you. And that's how he got arrested. And I think it was by design. And then the other one is Mark Kelly, one of my senators here in Arizona. He went after him and the other 5 who told our nation's soldiers that you serve the Constitution and you are required by the United States Code of Military Justice to not follow unlawful orders. So
but Mark wasn't. Yeah, Mark, he's not serving yet. I knew you're going to have to bring some. I knew you had to bring something to Arizona in there. That's I hear what you're saying with that, but Mark Kelly is not. In fact, we need more of these generals. We need more of them speaking up.
Yeah, Mark Kelly and those should be the ones having putting their relationship to our Constitution on the line. It shouldn't have to fall to a major. I mean, it shouldn't have had to fall to this young man. He should have been He should have been protected by the Congress personnel calling him out to his face. And I don't see enough of that. We have a handful, but we don't have enough people who should be doing because that's their damn job.
The biggest part about what we saw with this is that he's active duty. The guys that you brought up during Lincoln's time, Russ, those are great examples. You kind of look at, I guess you could have more balls back then. You speak loud and they were in a better position. But with the way Hegseth is with the Pentagon, the way he's trying to run the military, for this guy to do it is seriously, in my opinion, incredibly brave. Stu, what are your thoughts on how this is played out, my man?
So, let's go in this order, right?
Right.
We're talking about active duty has only happened twice before. One time was lesser so. The protest was in 21 against the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and it wasn't done well. And there was a military personnel, somebody was doing TikTok videos, and they were told to cut it out, and they didn't. It was less of a protest. This, by Air Force Major Watson, was a very formal protest, right? The only time that's happened previously in modern military history for us was in 1965. Lieutenant Henry Howe went to a protest and formally protested LBJ, President of the United States. You're never supposed to do that. It's important to follow chain of command. You have a complaint about a superior officer, which the president is. You follow chain of command. You don't just talk out loud. The rules of conduct are very clear on that, and they should be, and you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't speak out, right? Am I grateful for, thank you, Howard, Saint Jason? And will I repeat what he says so it doesn't go in vain? Of course.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm going to say real quick
Yeah.
is the folks on the right who are really going after this dude and complaining about how terrible it was. It's happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
In that same span of time, more than 2 million civilians have
Right.
been murdered by U.S. military personnel during active campaigns. Okay? 2 million.
Yeah.
So the people on the right, if they're also complaining about war crimes, okay, I'm happy to hear them complain about Major Watson, but otherwise, maybe it's time for them to have a seat.
Yeah, I'm tired of this selective outrage. I mean, really, you can't even look at that situation that happened in Florida. How everybody's trying to make it seem as if the sister didn't use the same law that was allowed for Trayvon Martin's killer to get off. I mean, the sister kept backing up. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. And the guy keeps approaching. That selective outrage, you see it right there. And what you just pointed out, again, is that selective outrage. And for a lot of these people, these redheaders, when they see what Major Jason Watson did, those that are trying to say he's wrong and all that, they just posted earlier today about this orange idiot putting a loyalty declaration for government jobs within the oath. You got to pledge loyalty to him for these government jobs. That's illegal as fuck. The amount of things that they allow this guy to get away with and just turn a cheek and act like it's okay. This normalization is bothering me. And seeing what the major did, that right there really kind of just scared me in a way that it's to the point where this man, he said, you know what? Like you said, Howard, he is a martyr. For this man to do what he did, 25 years in Leavenworth, that ain't easy. That ain't easy. From what they talk about, that's like Supermax. Oz ain't got shit on Leavenworth. But this dude felt the need to challenge leaders.
Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Hashtag. And now, let's get back to COUCHAT.